Hypodart is a 2 telecrystal purchase under the Utility tab available to both nuclear operatives and syndicate agents. A seemingly unremarkable dart with an enlarged reservoir for chemicals, it can store up to 7 units of reagents in itself and instantly ejects them all when it hits the target, starts empty. Well, as you can imagine, it uses reagents, it directly says so, and it starts empty, so it itself on its own is practically useless. It comes in a Hypodart box, which means you want to pick it up and press C immediately in order to hide the fact that it's a Hypodart. Once it's unpacked, it looks literally just like a normal dart. There is nothing indicating there's anything wrong with it. There's a lot of really good reagents to put into it, but there's only one reagent that you should try to focus on getting if you have access to it. Technically, any person on the station can make a one-hit Hypodart, if you're lucky. Shrooms, space shrooms specifically, can spawn a few... I didn't mean to do that. Shrooms on the station can spawn a few different reagents. One of them happens to be Lexerin. It is not very likely. It's low odds, but it can happen. And it has enough Lexerin in it that you can kill a person in a single hit. So if you ever want to check what's in a space shroom, you just have to find a grinder and make sure you click the grind option to grind the space shroom. So depending on your job, say you're a chef, chemist, or scientist who could just make grinders, you may possibly get lucky and find a space shroom with Lexerin in it. It's only 10 units. That's only enough for one dart, or one dart and then a weaker dart. But you need to get the nutriments and vitamins out of it, otherwise you won't be able to get all 7 units of Lexerin in a dart. And the only way to do that is with a Chem Master. So realistically, at this point, you would have to be cargo, or get access to a Chem Master somehow. I don't need to go through every single explanation. But science, chemistry, and cargo are the ones that are most likely to get access to Chem Masters. Hypodarts are definitely best for chemists in general. So if you get this specific mushroom, you can just dump out everything else other than the Lexerin and just keep it on you for later. Most likely you're not going to get that lucky. So I am actually just going to cover how to make Lexerin really easily. In order to save a lot of time, Dexilin is required to make this, but Dexilin requires plasma. Realistically, this isn't a problem, but if you want to be a little nifty about this, finding Dexilin pills is actually rather easy. Most med bays actually come with an oxygen treatment kit. Cargo themselves can order it, or you could commonly find them in emergency closets. You actually only need a single Dexilin pill, which there's always 7 Dexilin pills in an emergency oxygen crate. And just taking one of these will save you some plasma and save you some oxygen because everything's limited now. So repurposing Dexilin for this is rather useful. So what you do is you put some water in a beaker, 5 units is fine, toss the pill in there, go to your Chem Master, dump all the water out, and only keep 5 units of Dexilin in it so we can keep this even. Then you go to your Chem Master, and what's awesome about being a chemist and trying to use Hypodarts, the only thing you need to get from outside of chemistry is plasma. That's it. And you only need 3 pieces to make a ton of Lexerin. And typically cargo would just toss you an entire stack. There's also normally plasma just available somewhere on the station. Getting plasma as a chemist happens pretty much guaranteed. So we just want to put in 5 carbon, 5 iron, 5 silicon, because this makes Dexilin plus. Then we want to do 5 silicon, nitrogen, and potassium to make 15 units of diluvine. Now we need 15 hydrogen, 15 silicon, and we need to heat it for some time. There are 2 options here. You have a hot plate as an option, and you can just keep it there until it heats, or you can microwave it for about 45 seconds total, so you can do a cook time of 30, then do another cook time of 15 or 20. Somewhere in there we'll end up making it heat up to the point where we make the reagents we're looking for. And as I do this, I could cut away and edit it out, but we are trying to make Lexerin, which you can always use the guidebook. I will show the guidebook every single time. We're trying to make Heartbreaker Toxin, which needs Dexilin Plus, which we already have, and Mindbreaker Toxin, which we don't have. So that's what we are making right now. We're making Mindbreaker Toxin, which is silicon, hydrogen, diluvine mixed at a certain temperature, and we just heard it mix. So we go back to our Chem Dispenser, and we have 30 Mindbreaker, 30 Heartbreaker. We do not need the Mindbreaker anymore. We could toss the Mindbreaker out. We just need the Heartbreaker. And with the Heartbreaker, we need to stick it in a grinder, and with 3 pieces of plasma, we grind the plasma directly into this beaker. So now we have 30 Heartbreaker Toxin and 30 plasma. Now this is where you have to be, well, I mean, we're already talking about a syndicate item. For 4 more telecrystals, you can purchase the chemical synthesis bundle, which I've already covered before, but we're just going to breeze through it. Inside this, there are 2 Vestine vials plus some other useful stuff, including stimulants, but not going to cover all that. We need this Vestine vial, and we're just going to dump the entire vial into the beaker. And due to the fact this is a very obvious syndicate item, you don't want to do this in the open. You want to break the vial immediately. You want to toss the synthesis kit in the space, recycle it, whatever you need to do. Just don't have it on you. And with just that very simple recipe, we have made 60 units of Lexerin. The pen uses 7 units every single time you throw it. So with some very basic math, we can find out that you can actually kill 8 people, no matter what they are wearing, in 1 hit. As I love always doing, here is our friend the Death Squad agent. And with 1 toss, this Death Squad agent is going to fall into a critical state, and unless someone immediately hits him with an emergency pen, they will die. Lexerin is a very brutal chemical, and they crit very quickly, by the way. They are already at 130 damage. Lexerin's a brutal chemical to get hit by. It does 20 air loss damage, which is split evenly between asphyxiation and blood loss. So 1 hypo dart actually does 140 air loss damage, which is not resisted by any armor in the game, and it instantly injects it. So if you get hit by this hypo dart, you are dead. So you can always pull the hypo dart back out of them too. So you actually don't need to worry. Oops. So you actually don't need to worry about having multiple hypo darts. There's one really awesome detail. Slimes breathe slower. So even without getting medical attention, if you hit a slime with a hypo dart and don't do any additional damage to them, they will actually recover out of a critical state. They suffocate so slowly in a critical state that they will actually recover the blood loss damage and stand back up before their asphyxiation damage hits 100. So if you use a hypo dart against a slime, probably just beat them to death until they're fully dead. Otherwise, they might get back up. Anyways, most people are not going to have their 3-second or less reaction time to know they just got hit by a Lexerin dart to inject themselves with an emergency pen and survive. So unless you got really lucky with space shrooms, also of course, botany can mutate plants to have Lexerin. You're not going to run into this. I mean, the Hypodart's a syndicate item anyway, so it doesn't really matter if a syndicate saves 4 TC on the Lexerin. They can still just make it anyways for an additional 4 TC to make the literal best weapon in the game. I mean, this is the only guaranteed one-hit weapon in the entire game. A hypo spray, A, requires you to be in melee, and B, requires 2 injections, which, I mean, is still a really strong weapon, but this is a ranged hypo pen that can one-hit, and you can just easily pick it back up, and it's inconspicuous. It just looks like a dart. So it's disgustingly deadly. And for, like, if you want to keep the Lexerin on you, you don't want to leave it in a large beaker. You probably just want to put it in a soda can so people can't see that's a pungent chemical, because a pungent chemical practically just means that's Lexerin, and people will have that knowledge. So put your Lexerin in a soda can, keep your darts secure. If you hit somebody with the pen, don't fight them, just let them fall into a critical state. They might be able to run away if they realize what's happening and get to a worse position, but at that point they're still critical, and you could just buy another 2 TC dart if you happen to lose that one. But that's pretty much it as far as the station syndicates go with making it. As you can see, the slime has recovered during the time I was talking, so I do think that's a really cool detail. It's one of the only benefits slime people actually have, is that their slow suffocation can save them from blood loss, which blood loss normally is accompanied with brute damage, so you won't recover, but this is blood loss damage not accompanied by actual damage, so you just heal it back. And if we look at the normal Death Squad member, they're still slowly dying because they recovered all the blood loss, so now it's just asphyxiation. So you probably do want to beat them to death, but somebody who's in a critical state can't fight back anyway, at least as of right now. I don't know if we're ever going to go the 13 route of soft crits. But anyways, enough about this. Something I do find really awesome about Nukies is that they don't have plasma, but they have plasma tables. So if you just intentionally break your plasma tables, it takes a tiny bit of effort because they are, well, made out of plasma. So if you break a table and you get the plasma, you could take the shard and you could bring it over to your welding tools. And if you weld it, you'll get plasma directly from it. So you could break all these tables and get plasma, and you could just make Dexilin yourself here. Because even in the science room, also you want to save the plasma, remember. We can save plasma by dissolving Dexilin pills in water, which Nukis do have water as well. You just come over to this room over here, and there is a water tank and a sink. Nukis can make a ton of Lexerin. You would just have to break a lot of your windows. Like, it's kind of goofy to me, but you could do this. You could break your windows, melt them down into raw plasma, and turn it into Lexerin, and make a shit ton of one-hit darts as Nukis. But if you miss your dart and somebody picks it up, they could toss it back at you. So I think this is awesome and should stay. But that's really it. Thank you all for watching.